Education, Panyaza Lasufi, talking quite passionately to those in attendance here today, talk about the role of government, what more needs to happen from an education perspective, and how we're going together combat and also improve the lives of autistic children and adults. And you know, it's all about quality of life. A little bit earlier, we also spoke to one of the parents who shed light on just some of the day-to-day things that parents who live with children who suffer from autism, and just kind of the day-to-day things they've got to deal with. They also lit blue candles earlier, and that signifies the blue light, the Light It Up Blue campaign, which is happening in 160 countries today. And it's all about lighting up landmarks and buildings. And blue, of course, is the campaign color for autism awareness. Right now, I'm joined by an expert who's going to share more light on autism for us. It's Akli Seema. Akil, good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Some startling numbers coming out. We talking about 1 in 88 children last year born with autism as a condition. 1 in 68. Talk to me about this dramatic increase in numbers.
Yeah, and the most of the accurate stats that we have come from the CDC in the United States, and the 1 in 68 figure that you alluded to is from there. But in South Africa, there is an allusion to about 1 in 88 kids that are affected with autism. And as you said, it's a startling increase, somewhere around 500% increase in incidences of autism and diagnosis coming up in the last 10 to 20 years. The rise in the increases is difficult to pinpoint to one specific factor, but a lot of it has to do with environmental interaction with predisposition. So you have a genetic vulnerability to autism, and something in your environment triggers the incidence of autism.
Akil, we've got so many experts looking at it. A little bit earlier, we spoke to Sipakazi, who's a mom who has a 13-year-old son. The son was only diagnosed when he was 4, and up to that point, the majority of the doctors got it wrong. It took a visiting doctor from America to diagnose his son. What is happening currently in our country that allows this kind of thing to happen?
Well, as you said, the diagnosis came a little bit later than I think the mom would have liked, and that's the really important thing with treating autism. The Star Academy, along with a lot of other medical professionals, are advocating very strongly for early diagnosis, which is pivotal in order for kids to make tangible progress, and that is important. It's a treatable condition. Autism doesn't have to be a lifelong condition if it's picked up at an early stage. So I guess in that sense, we do need to enlist the help and feedback from all of the medical field in order for there to be more early diagnosis so that they can get the assistance that they need.
From an expert perspective, part of your job is to talk to parents, talk to communities. There's such a stigma around children. They're often labeled as naughty, out of control, with a lot of community members, and even maybe to a degree, from a traditional perspective, lots of fathers not accepting that their son could be, because with autism you look normal, but you have behavioral issues. You can't communicate with others. You struggle to interact.
That's true, but I think it is improving. There's a greater awareness, and it can never be enough though. And we always just try to put out the message that it is a treatable condition, and that does help parents get over the stigma that gets attached to a lot of the kids. And obviously the Department of Education making a commitment to improve the setup for our kids to be included in school is important, because that will make a significant difference to them integrating into mainstream society.
For lack of a better description, there are levels, if I understand it correctly. Sipakazi, for example, her son, she called it a classical condition. Can you elaborate more on the types of autism that a child might suffer from?
Well, previously there were different diagnoses for autism, but recently there's been a change to the diagnostic criteria so that there's autism spectrum disorder as one condition, and you have symptoms or you have deficits that fall somewhere along the spectrum. So lower down on the spectrum you have severely affected children who may exhibit with no vocal communication and severe problem behaviors that include tantrums, aggression, and so on. And on the other end of the spectrum you have kids that would have previously been termed as Asperger's disorders children, so who have vocal language and can communicate but have more difficulties along the social interaction side of things.
How do we educate the focus this morning is about it's between the partnership of Autism South Africa and the Gauteng Education Department. How do we upskill, train people to understand that this is a very unique condition and needs a particular set of skills to deal with?
Information, absolutely. That's the most important thing. And having the Department of Education on board is extremely important. Teachers need to be educated and need to be informed as to what to look out for in kids in their classrooms, because I think that's where we see a lot of kids fall through the cracks. And knowing where to receive the appropriate services, what the appropriate services are, and people that are involved in advocacy for parents and in giving them support so that they know how to deal with their kids. At the Star Academy, we get 10 calls a day from parents that feel helpless, that don't know what to do with their kids, and obviously they need to be able to access services that will help their kids and to obviously give them support in order for them to know what to do and how to take their kids to where they need to be.
Akil, we're going to leave it there, but thank you very much for talking to me this morning. Akli Seema, he's an expert on autism. He's part of World Autism Awareness Day, and it's all about highlighting the need, the plight, to improve the lives of kids suffering from autism and adults as well, so that they can live a full and productive life. Look, it's a wrap from us here at the Inner City Recreation Park.